All set.
Excellent. Good morning, honored guests and distinguished speakers. We greatly appreciate your interest and participation to celebrate Global Accessibility Awareness Day with us at SUNY. Special thanks to the Office of the Provost and Office of University Life for their demonstrated leadership, reinforcing accessibility as a priority at SUNY. I'd also like to sincerely thank SUNY's Center for Professional Development for their continued time and dedication to supporting meaningful events like this one. This slide is decorative in nature. It says SUNY celebrates Global Accessibility Awareness Day, unlocking everyone's potential. Today's date is May 20th, 2021. Thank you for logging in, and our session will begin shortly. So before we get started, a few housekeeping items. We have a full day of programming today. Please feel free to take breaks as needed. We are recording all sessions with the exception of the flex and chair stretch yoga. Kindly note that in your confirmation email for today, there is a separate Zoom meeting link for the Leaders Learning live session at 12 p.m. noon. All other sessions today, including the one at 1 p.m. and after, will remain on this Zoom meeting link. Feel free to keep your camera on or off for the majority of the program. Live captioning is available. Please click the CC button or live transcript to see them. Kindly keep your microphones muted throughout the sessions. Comments and questions can be submitted through the chat feature. And if anyone has any technical difficulties, please use the chat to individually contact myself, Nazali Kirkjian, Jamie Heron, or Victoria Mizorian. Without further ado, I am proud to introduce Collin Lacki. Let me just change over to his presentation for one moment. Can everyone see this?
No.
Okay. One moment, please. Thank you for saying no, whoever said no. Okay. So Collin Lacki is a sophomore at Niagara County Community College, dual majoring in music and psychology to pursue a career in music therapy. Collin is deeply engaged, having participated in the Chancellor's inaugural Student Voices Action Committee, is a member of the New York Association of Blind Students and part of the student government at NCCC. He has been doing advocacy speaking now for 4 years after losing the majority of his vision at age 14. Welcome, Collin.
Hello. So first, I would just want to say thank you all for putting on this event, for having me to speak on here and share what I have to say. That means a lot. So I'm just forewarning. I'm going without a script today. I'm just going to be speaking from the heart today. But I guess my presentation, I'm going to be talking about obviously accessibility in academia and just overall just little things professors and faculty at the school can be doing to at least just the bare minimum to make the classroom that much more accessible. And I guess just a little bit of backstory. Like Nasli did mention, I lost the majority of my vision when I was 14 and had to go through the rest of middle school and high school pretty much advocating for myself on everything I needed to accommodate my vision loss. And I come from a very small school. We have about 700 people, kindergarten through 12th grade. So a very small school, no disability support office, nothing even close to that nature. So it was always a lot of self-advocating, most of the time not leading to anything. So I'm very passionate about this and making sure that, now going forward, being in college, getting what I need, to be a successful student, and advocating on behalf of those other disabled students, and making sure they get what they need, because I'm very aware of the struggle of sometimes that most of the time that doesn't always happen. So you can go ahead, Nestle, go to the next slide. So I'm going to start with the right off the bat with classroom materials. And one of the biggest ones I'm still dealing with now is textbooks in my classes, even here at college. So just making sure that your textbooks, any professors that are here, are available in any multiple different formats. If they're making sure they're available as, the physical textbook, an online PDF version or Word document, or even audiobook would be great. So just making sure your textbooks are accessible in every way, if that's going to be the core basis of your class. And let's see, there's, and sorry, and also making sure if you're giving out paper handouts in class, making sure those are sent beforehand as a digital version, whether that be a Word document or PDF. Because there are so many times now, I've dealt with this since middle school, still now, in my college classes, where I'll have all the material, I'll have the textbook accessible to me, but then the professor is handing out paper handouts in class, and then I can't participate. So just taking that extra step to have it digitally accessible, so any student with a disability can participate in class at the same time as all their able-bodied peers. So and another thing is just making sure if you're showing videos in class or watching a movie in class, if it has audio description. And for anyone who doesn't know, audio description is a way for blind and visually impaired people to watch movies, and it is descriptive audio when there is not dialogue in the movie to explain what's happening. So because I've had a couple classes, and especially my foreign language classes I've taken, where we watch a lot of movies and videos, and when there's not dialogue happening in the movie, I have no idea what's happening. So that's just a way for people to have a verbal explanation of what's happening on the screen. And you can go to the next slide, Nasli. And so the next thing after being in the classroom would be the homework. And if you're using third-party websites or programs to distribute and administer that homework. So again, kind of going back to the paper handouts in the classroom, if you're giving out homework on paper, making sure that is given out digitally, whether that be PDF or document, whatever it may be. And on top of that, another big help is having your online classroom organized, whether it be Blackboard or Canvas. I'm not sure what all the campuses use, but having that organized, well organized, and being able to be navigated by a blind or visually impaired person that has to use a screen reader on their computer, or even for those with a disability that's not physical, such as a learning disability or whatnot. Cluttered online classrooms can get very confusing to navigate, with folders, and click one folder and there's 10 more folders to go through, and it's a lot. So just having your online classroom well organized, easily navigatable, huge help. And and the last one and the biggest one, I really want to stress this one because I've had multiple classes now where the homework is given through a third-party website that's not the online classroom, whether that be Blackboard or Canvas, whatnot. And the main one would be in my math class. I'm not sure if other SUNY campuses use the same program, but my math lab or my stats lab for math and statistics classes, it's a third-party program through Pearson that is absolutely not accessible to blind and visually impaired people at all. 0% accessible. So in that class, I had to rely heavily on my disability support office just to do my homework, something that I should be able to do independently. And I couldn't participate in class, and I couldn't do my homework without someone having to be beside me reading it at the computer. And in a way that's humiliating, in a way, taking away my independence, taking away something I've strived for so long, which is my independence, and something that I pride myself on. So just making sure that the homework is being able to be independently done, and if what you're administering is not accessible, just being understanding that it's not, and understand that it is, the student is going to have to go through a lot of extra work to just do the homework the same as their peers would, and just being understanding of that, and just to be frank, cut us some slack. And I've had so much experience with that, and I again emphasize that, just please make sure any website or programs such as my math lab or even MindTap, um, you know, MindTap is greatly accessible, by the way, side note. But just if you're using a website like that, just make sure it's accessible. You can go to the next slide. And so for presentations and lectures during class, so again, going back to having digital versions of things available, sending out to might as well be the whole class, sending out the PowerPoint or presentation or posting it in your online classroom to be viewed, on the student's own screen, is a great help, especially in classes such as math, where we're looking at a lot of charts and things of that nature. It's so much easier when I can pull that up on my own screen, have it, close to me, right next to me, and I can actually, somewhat see what the teacher is talking about. That's a great help, and it helps a lot for students with disabilities that are not physical, that maybe have a hard time remembering things from the classroom. Just the ease of access for them to be able to go back and look at the presentation, and just more easily remember what was being talked about in class that day. And on the topic of PowerPoints, having image descriptions. So again, not to sound like I'm griping with math classes, but I kind of am. If you're displaying charts in math class that are, crucial to what you're learning, that needs to be described, whether verbally or or through text on the slide that can be accessed later. But if you're presenting and there is an image that is, and obviously important to the lesson that should be being verbally described, not even just for people who are blind or visually impaired, but maybe there's people whose vision just isn't the best naturally, and they're sitting in the back of the classroom. So it's important to be verbally describing what is on the screen or board. And one thing I didn't put on the slide, but if you're writing on the board, writing on the whiteboard, chalkboard, um, verbally saying what you're writing, and that's a huge help, because there are so many times where the professor will go on a tangent and then go silent and start writing something on the board. Then I'm just sitting there wondering, oh, I wonder what they're writing, because I have no idea. So that is a huge help. And I think that's all I have to say about the presentations and lectures. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. And the last thing I want to hit on that I think would, this is kind of the start of it all, where accessibility in the classroom can start. And as much as I love advocacy speaking, and I've been doing it for a good chunk of years now, this is the start of where students like myself won't have to advocate for ourselves day in and day out and repeat the same things over and over. And that would be educating the faculty better on what they can do for accessibility. And I think, apparently my campus has an accessibility training program for the professors, apparently, with heavy air quotes. But I've never seen that take place. I've never I've never seen the effects of that. So I would love to see SUNY have a SUNY-wide standard required accessibility training for professors and faculty. Basically just going over in more detail the things I've talked about today. And I think if we have that, the professors already have a base foundation of how they can make the classroom more accessible. And then students with disabilities are not having to jump through hoops all the time just to participate on an equal playing field as our peers. And I think that would make things a lot easier. And one thing I didn't add on the slide, it would be not even just education of faculty, just education of disabilities, period, in academia is not enough. And having our peers to advocate for us. And if you are an able-bodied student and you see a student with disabilities struggling with anything that I previously mentioned, and because a lot of times, like when I first lost my vision, I was too scared to speak up and say, like, hey, I need help, or hey, I can't see that. Or if you see your fellow student with disabilities struggling with some of these things, don't be afraid to speak up and say something to the professor, or ask them, like, would you like me to say something, or is there anything I can do to help? And also to students with disabilities, don't be afraid to speak up. That, of course, it's easier said than done a lot of times, but you're not going to be heard until you make yourself heard. So just don't be afraid to speak up and ask for help. But just going back to the main point of the slide, just keeping yourself educated. And then any professors that are here today, thank you for being here. Thank you for hearing this out. But I would hope to see SUNY do a standard accessibility training one day. And I guess that is the bare minimum of what of things that could be done to improve the classroom. And I think on a lot of these things I touched on today, there's going to be, I'm looking at the agenda, there's going to be a lot of the stuff talked about in greater detail. So I'm excited to hear about that. I just wanted to go over kind of, just the surface level of what can be done. But a lot of this is going to be talked about more in depth today. So stay tuned for that for sure. And I guess I can end my talk here. If anybody has any questions, I'm not sure how much time I have left, but if anybody has any questions, and Nasli, if you wanted to read them, if anyone's leaving them in the chat or whatnot, but I guess I'll end my presentation here.
Thank you so much, Collin, for sharing your story and some of the really low-hanging fruit that all staff and faculty and people outside of academia can do to improve the accessibility and to support our students have independence, like you said. And so we are running a slightly behind, but I think folks can individually message you on the chat if you'd like to do that. But a lot of people are saying thank you and that your perspective is tremendously valuable. And so it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Shadi Sandvik, Provost-in-Charge for SUNY System. Dr. Sandvik is fairly new to this role, having been in the position for 5 months now. She most recently served as the interim vice president for research and graduate studies at SUNY Polytechnic, where she is a professor in the nanoscale engineering department. Please join me in welcoming Provost Sandvik.
Thank you, Nasli. Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to be here and have so many people joining. It's really tremendous to see, kind of put the spotlight on things like this that's so important to our students and toward our effort to be as inclusive and as institution as we possibly can. And so I'm very glad to be here and thank you. I wanted to start by thanking Nasli Kirkjan, our SUNY's coordinator of disability and non-traditional student services. Nasli has been a tireless leader, as some of you may have known and experienced, and support for SUNY system administration and campuses, especially over the past year. And many thanks to her for organizing this day for us. There's so many. I'm so glad that we're just looking at the number of people joining this the Zoom workshop, and I'm so glad to see many of you here. My thanks also to our presenters, including Zubeida Hall, our keynote speaker and colleague from Cornell University. So thank ahead of time. I look forward to listening in. And to our opening speaker, Collin Lacki, thank you. We are very glad to have you as a member of the SUNY family, and thank you for helping us be an inclusive institution. It was great to see Collin talk from his firsthand experiences, and for many of us that have been in classroom and teaching classroom, it's really wonderful it's eye-opening to a large degree. I mean, many of us, we are not really aware of the experiences that our students go through. And it is very, very important that we hear how they experience what we do, because my feeling is that a lot of our faculty, if they were aware of how their teaching style impacts students' learning, that they would be more than willing to make changes. So Collin, thank you. What a great way to kickstart SUNY's celebration of the 10th Annual Global Accessibility Awareness Day. The guidance you provided is practical, important, and something that we will all share with our colleagues. Today SUNY joins 170 other universities, businesses, and organizations celebrating Global Accessibility Awareness Day. This international effort is designed to be a day focused on digital accessibility and sharing best practices and learning from one another. Our charge is to get everyone talking, thinking, and learning about digital access and inclusion. Nazali has started helping me learn and understand that better. So thank you again, Nazali. I mean, it's just so important. I can't emphasize how important it is. So about what it means to give all of our students, faculty, and staff equitable access to the digital roadways that now drive so much of the SUNY experience. Before I turn the floor over to Nazali, I want to issue a few additional notes notes of thanks and make a brief announcement. This year, Global Accessibility Awareness Day comes at the end of a year, just unlike any other in recent history. A global pandemic caused our reliance on digital technology, as all of you know, for everything from daily health screenings to online instruction to grow faster than we ever could have imagined. Almost unbelievably, our pandemic response was happening at the exact moment SUNY campuses had been asked to strengthen digital inclusion as part of a new SUNY trustee policy on electronic and information technology, or EIT, accessibility. There were so many colleagues to meet, there were so many challenges to meet, so many changes to address, and so much planning to do. Our disability and accommodative services staff from across the university are really to be commended for pivoting so quickly to respond to the needs. So thank you for all your hard work and dedication to your students and to your campuses. Your efforts to support immediate student needs and work on longer term improvements are really recognized, and I wanted to thank you. This is something that we almost have to be aware of and work at, like, day in and day out. We know that SUNY serves 43% of all students who report having a disability. That's 32,345 unique students who reported at least one disability. 5.7% of enrollment at state-operated campuses and 8.1% at community colleges. The table that you see here shows the number of students who disclosed invisible disabilities, a population that has grown over the past 5 years across SUNY campuses. Yet we do know well that whether you are looking at national, state, or SUNY data, there is a wide underreporting. Consider the number of people who may have a temporary disability due to an injury or illness, or due to unimagined stressors, like dealing with a global pandemic. We know that there are students who have a disability but may not want to self-identify or ask for help. There are students who may have a disability but who were never evaluated or tested, or who didn't have ready access to supports or quality medical care. We need to meet all of these students where they are and give them pathways to succeed. Really, the way that I think about this is that this is really what SUNY for all means, to be inclusive. Given the many gaps we know about, it becomes very clear why inclusive design, why accessibility across our websites and digital tools and services, it's so critically important. That leads me to my announcement. One of my first priorities as Provost-in-Charge was to assure implementation of the SUNY Trustees Electronic and Information Technology, or EIT, accessibility policy. My arrival in December of 2020 coincided with the due date of final campus EIT plans. Each plan had to address the standards devised by the university-wide Electronic and Information Technology Accessibility Committee in each of 5 areas: web accessibility standards, digital content accessibility standards, classroom accessibility standards, library accessibility guidelines, and procurement accessibility conformance guidelines. Nazali and a team of campus and system staff reviewed draft and final plans and provided feedback and shared resources to support effective plan development. We held a series of calls with campuses in the very early stages of plan implementation, and Nazali held regular calls with EIT officers to discuss challenges and questions. And I know she has been tireless and she keeps at it every day. There's still important work left to do, and it's clear that this will be an ongoing effort. That's why I'm pleased today to announce creation of the EIT Accessibility Advisory Group to help support campuses in this important work. The advisory group will be broadly representative, co-chaired by a campus provost and campus chief information officer. The group will be a standing body that will make recommendations to me on things like supporting campuses in plan implementation, including the identification and launch of possible shared services, assuring consideration of EIT in major system efforts, like the transition to our new learning management system, or the revision of SUNY's general education requirements, making recommendations around new developments in the field and changes in requirements, like the WCAG website standards, and planning to regularly assess policy effectiveness. I have asked Nazali to spend a little time today focused on the EIT policy to provide additional details about work done today and work to come. Again, my thanks to all of you. Have a wonderful Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Listen, engage, and share what you learned today with your colleagues, please. Thank you again, Nazali.
Thank you so much, Provost Sandvik. Really appreciate you coming here and being so wonderful and supportive of all of our efforts and now and in the future. So thank you so much. And I think, Victoria, we can stop this recording at this time and let Chris share his screen. Dr. Hramalik, I believe.